Hello, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys doing well. I hope that you guys are still on top of the gang stalking. I hope that it's not getting to you, and I hope that you have the fortitude to resist the gang stalking. In case you guys don't know what that word means, fortitude is the courage to endure in difficult situations. So, to have the courage and bravery to deal with difficult situations, that is fortitude, right? So, what I want to talk about today is freedom. What is freedom? Because I think that a lot of people don't seem to even understand what freedom means. And they think of freedom as something which it is not. So freedom has been lost in the modern times. There is no freedom in the modern times. There are, excuse me. See, that's freedom. That is freedom. To do as you please. Anyway, there's pockets of places in the world where there is still freedom. America is a good example. For example, in America, you can go camping in the wilderness, and a lot of the wilderness in America is free. It's free land. It's not owned by anybody. The police or the sheriff's department or the government cannot prevent you from living in the wilderness. They cannot prevent you from going off grid and building a hut and living there. You don't need a permit. You don't need to register anything. You have the full freedom to move around and live and do as you please in the wilderness, given and provided that you do not bother anyone or do anything illegal or harm anyone or mess with the natural habitat. That's just how it is in America. So that's something I really like about America. Um, in Europe, it's not the same. There is no freedom in Europe because Europe is actually Europe is actually full of slavery, and I think a lot of people don't realize the reason why the Americans, um, decided to leave Europe and to create America, and the reason why the Americans are to this day on top of the Europeans and stronger than the ass-kissing Europeans. Excuse my language. The reason why the Americans are number one in the world and they're dominating the world is because they came out of that slavery of Europe, and they decided to fight for their freedom. And when you fight for something, you get it. And when you get it, you keep it. And that's something I like. I'm mesmerized, absolutely mesmerized by the history of this country, America. I'm not American, but I fucking love America. Fucking love America. Everything about it. And to all the people that don't like it, go fuck yourselves. Okay. So, what's amazing about America is the people, they were enslaved in Europe, and they decided, because of the Puritanism that was in Europe, and they decided, to get the fuck out of Dodge. And they said, you know what, we're going to go to North America and we're going to set up our own colonies. We're going to do our own things. And of course, you guys know the stories and the history setting up the first colonies, Jamestown, Jamesville, and what was it called, the other one? Anyway, whatever. Um, Setting up those colonies, and eventually, of course, they were still under the rule of the British monarch, telling them what to do, and kind of had to kiss his ass in the beginning a little bit. But of course, then you guys know the story about the Boston Tea Party, and then fuck you, massive rebellion. The British send their battalions and armaments to bring back the Americans into slavery, into the fold of slavery, and into the fold of European slavery. And the Americans bravely fight back against them and absolutely slaughter their fucking asses. And, now it's called America, United States of America. And the Europeans can weep about that night and day if they want to. Yeah. It's just I love this about history, and I love this about life. How things can turn. Things can turn massively for people. People can be downtrodden, and I think even as far as the people that we are as TIs and target individuals being gang stalked and being oppressed, we should take America as a good example for us, that even the people who are downtrodden, even the people that were oppressed, they can and they do fight for their freedom, and you can fight for your freedom. And look at the Americans nowadays. One of the best countries in the world, practically ruling the world. I mean, who can stand up to America? Who can do anything to America? If the Americans decide something politically, can anybody do anything about it? No, they can't. Right. So I think the history of America is a very good example. Sorry if I'm diverging a little bit, segueing off topic, but I think we should talk about this. America is a good example for us TIs and targeted individuals. It's a country that started as people fleeing persecution, fleeing from slavery or trying to get out of slavery and form their own colonies and to live that life of freedom. Had to deal with the British monarchy and to deal with the European powers that were trying to force slavery upon them. And eventually, when they became strong enough, they decided to rally together and fight back. And, guys, the Boston Tea Party and all the things that ensued. And now there is literally United States of America with 50 states controlling practically the rest of the world. So for us TIs, I think we should learn from the history of America, this great nation that is able to show us and lead the way that people who are downtrodden and oppressed can definitely get out of slavery and fight for themselves and fight for their rights. And even with the black people that were brought into America as slaves, eventually they fought for their freedom. Martin Luther King and all that stuff that jizz that happened in 1960s. And now the blacks in America have their freedom because they fought for this freedom. And now they have it, which is great, right? So there's always something you can do to gain freedom. And we can also learn from history about Islam and the Muslims. Also, although I am not religious, I don't believe in Islam, I don't believe in Christianity, I don't believe in any of these religions. But you can definitely, from the political and socio-political and historical aspect, you can definitely learn multiple things from Islam. That this Muhammad, who started out as a downtrodden, oppressed individual in his own society, decided to fight back against the polytheists of Mecca, and decided to not accept being downtrodden and accept slavery. And he managed to get a bunch of people together to form a group, sort of the same way that we are going to do with the off-grid TI community. And got a bunch of people that believe in his cause, that wanted to fight back and not be oppressed and subjugated anymore. And they fought against the people that were oppressing them. And of course, the Muslims, that was when the concept of jihad was created by the Muslims. Jihad was initially just this holy war that Muhammad was fighting against his oppressors in Mecca, to kill them and slaughter them and take away their lands because they were oppressing them. So it's kind of like a payback, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And, so yeah, people can definitely, just because you are oppressed, just because you are downtrodden, just because you're living under slavery, or you feel that you don't have as much freedom as you, or independence or whatever, does not mean that there is nothing that you can do to gather together and fight for your freedom. And people have done that in the past, and they can and they will. Sure as fucking hell, they are going to do it. And you can watch even movies like, if you need motivation, you can watch movies like Braveheart, for example, where, Robert De Bruce and what's the other guy called? Escapes my memory. Anyway, the Scottish leader that decided to rebel against the English tyrannical dominion and fight for the freedom of Scotland. I mean, he eventually died, but he died a heroic death. And of course, eventually Scotland did gain independence as a country from the rule of the English. So as such, we are doing the same as TIs and target individuals, and freedom is definitely something that can be fought for. So anyway, as far as my topic is concerned, freedom is a very important thing for any human being to have. Actually, I would argue that freedom is the most important thing in life. And, the problem nowadays is a lot of people don't have any freedom, and people don't even understand what freedom is, because the core definition, if you want to look it up, the core definition of freedom is to do the ability to say and do as one wishes without fear of consequences. Okay? The ability to do and say as one wishes without fear of consequences, or regardless of consequences. So if somebody, people will say, well, we live under freedom and democracy. Not really. At least not here in Germany. Here in Germany, you can go on the television and you can say, well, I disagree with all of you, but I'm a Nazi. I believe in Nazism. And you can wave the Nazi flag. You will be arrested. You will be arrested. And you will go to jail. If you so much as show in public that you are reading Mein Kampf, Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, you will go to jail. So there is no freedom in Germany. There is no freedom in Germany. You want here in Germany, you can go on television, you can say, I am against, you can openly criticize women and say, I don't agree with this and that. I think women are irresponsible. I think women are doing this, blah, 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 all the whole slew of bad things that women are doing in Germany. You can talk about this, but you are going to get into trouble. They're not going to let you just talk about it and get away with it. No. There is no freedom here. Guys, this is illusion of freedom. There's no fucking freedom in Germany. And you cannot actually go on television here in Germany and talk shit about feminism and say, I don't agree with feminism. I don't want any feminism. And, with all due respect, I disagree with feminism. Okay? You cannot do that. They will come after you and they will bring you down. They will sabotage you. They will chop off your fucking knees. And you will be punished, so to speak. So where is the freedom? No, freedom means the ability to speak and think and act as one wishes without fear of consequences. No fear of consequences. I can do as I wish without having to fear. If I decide to do something and then you're going to send me to jail, that's not freedom. There's no freedom then. Where's the freedom? There is no freedom. And, all the people nowadays, they think everything's fine and dandy. Nah, it's not fine and dandy. There is a huge problem. In modern times, there is no freedom. Nobody has the freedom to speak their mind and do as they wish without fear of consequences. That doesn't exist anymore. Okay? It used to exist a long time ago, but it doesn't exist anymore. Right. So, freedom is very important, and we can learn. I said, gave the example of America. United States of America is a very good example of how people that were downtrodden and felt the oppression and slavery of the European continent, people from Germany, from France, from England, from, all these horrible countries, decided to get out of Dodge and get out of the persecution, went to America and formed all these colonies, hoping that they can secure for themselves a base of freedom. And of course, America from the beginning was based on the concept of freedom. Freedom is very important has always been very important politically as far as America is concerned. And this is why to this day, America is called, land of the brave, home of the brave, land of the free, right? So, so you cannot have freedom under subjugation and oppression. If somebody's controlling you and telling you what to do, or trying to force you or shame you or guilt trip you or whatever, then you don't have freedom. And so the amazing thing about the Americans is that they managed to fight for this, and they did it successfully. So it can be done. For anybody who thinks that your situation is really horrible with the gang stalking and you being a TI and all these things, nah, there is always something that you can do to gain that freedom, to fight for your freedom. And there's always ways that you can do that. And I think one of the ways that you should be able to do that is for you not to have any fear of death or not have any fear of consequences. Because like I mentioned in one of my previous videos before, death might actually be inevitable. Death might happen in the future, and that's not really a problem. I think a lot of the things that the gang stalkers get away with is because they are willing to use violence against the TIs, and that's the reason why they get away with a lot of the things that they getting away with. So yeah, generally speaking, like I said, freedom is very, very important, and we need to make sure that we gain freedom, because I believe of myself to be a freedom-loving person, and I think you guys as well who are watching my videos and following my videos, I think that you are also freedom-loving people, right? So, and the problem is that nowadays there is all this engineered political communism that is being spread all over the world, which is making sure that nobody has freedom, and they're trying to take away people's freedom. And nowadays, you notice this like all the time. People that go around talking about things that piss people off or that people disagree with, instead of saying, well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with you, and let's just call it a spade. Nah, they're not just going to sit there and and disagree with you. They're going to say, fuck you, man. You can't say this because I disagree with you. I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to use cancel culture on you. I'm going to cancel you out, and I'm going to destroy you, and I'm going to make sure you have nothing. Just because you said something that I disagree with. This is how sensitive and overreactive these people are. So freedom, guys, there's no more freedom anyways nowadays. And my recommendation for everyone right now is, guys, not even just TIs, everyone, not just the TIs. Get out of society. There is nothing right now. There is nothing to be benefited from living in society. Living in society is not going to benefit you in any way. It's not going to help you in any way. You are living under slavery, and you will continue to live under slavery if you decide to continue living in society. This is why everybody should just get out of Dodge, form your own communities, hunting or raising sheep or farming or whatever have you, but find a way to do it off-grid. Find a way to live off-grid, off the society. And that's the only way that you can guarantee freedom. Anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you agree with my message. And if you do, leave a comment in the comment section. And of course, like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys in the next one.